Music therapy, an effective treatment option for substance abuse or addiction. Hi, I'm Fayrian Cloud. This is my Liberal Arts 495 capstone course given by Dr. Aaron Morris. Today is March 25th, 2018, and what my presentation is going to prove in my thesis is that music therapy is a non-traditional treatment option, not as readily accessed by those suffering from addiction or substance abuse due to the lack of knowledge, insurance coverage, and understanding of the process. Substance abuse and addiction are two different things. Substance abuse is a behavior. It can be controlled, it can be changed, it can be stopped. Addiction is substance abuse that has now been left unattended and is the disease called addiction. Addiction is marked by loss of interest in prior activities. Your friends that you once had before are no longer of importance because all your activities revolve around use, getting the drug, finding the drug, paying for the drug. Increasing in your amount of use so you can reach the same level of high. You tried to stop before, but you weren't successful. You have withdrawal symptoms. You don't feel very well when you don't have the drug in your system. You tried to stop and you can't, despite going to jail, despite a divorce, despite losing your house, despite whatever consequences there are, you still will continue to use. Now, you are now in the disease of addiction. Treatment options for substance abuse and addiction involves traditional and non-traditional treatments. Traditional treatments are the treatments that we have heard of most likely in the news. Most of our friends that we know or their friends that we know went to the traditional treatments such as behavioral counseling, programs like Alcohol Anonymous, and the ones associated with it like Al-Anon and Alateen. Drug rehabilitation programs through the commercials that you see on TV that advertise certain places you can go to, or you might hear about them on the media about the stars going there. Inpatient treatment programs, they're the same as an outpatient except one is in a place and the other one involves coming to the place daily, weekly for groups of programs. They can be short-term or they can be long-term programs. Non-traditional programs are treatment programs that we haven't exactly heard about. Narconon is an alternative program. It doesn't involve the 12-step program. Smart Recovery is also an alternative to the 12-step program. Some people do not like the 12-step program because AA will not accept you into the program if you're using medication-assisted treatment. This kind of treatment is also known as MAT. It's non-traditional treatment as well, and it uses medications like bumetanide and methadone, Subutex, to control the urge to use medication. We'll have more about that in later slides about what else MAT treatment involves. The last non-traditional treatment that we're going to be discussing is music therapy. Not much is known about music therapy, and it is my hope that this slide and presentation changes that. The Obamacare Act it came in and it opened up a marketplace online where everybody could go to apply and find out exactly what the Obamacare is and what insurance policies were available and how they could compare them. It's a huge thing on the internet now that helps with insurance. But the 1996 Parity Act, they introduced a law, an act that said there shouldn't be a separation between the healthcare quality, mental health quality, and we should be able to provide substance abuse. But this act was never enforced. What happened is when Obamacare came through, they took that 1996 Parity Act and they said this is now being enforced. And now there's no separation between the quality of health and mental health care, and substance abuse is part of mental health, and it's now enforced. This introduced a substance abuse and mental health as part of the essential health benefits mandates that there's 10 areas that insurance coverage must provide. This means that non-traditional treatment, it wasn't covered in the past. Substance abuse was rarely covered, but now it's mandatory to cover it. You can't treat it different. It is now going to be covered, and that means that addiction can now be further helped. New treatments are there. Treatments that couldn't be afforded before are now available. In 2013 began the enrollment for Obamacare. 2014 we became able to use it. It is going to change healthcare coverage, no matter if it's repealed or what happens to it, renamed. It is now in effect, and people see the importance. Music therapists operate on EBT. Evidence-based treatment backs music therapy. This means they're backed by scientific studies, by research. Each session that the client and the music therapist conduct, there's a treatment plan and the client agrees upon this. Each session, there's a goal, a focus that the client wants to talk about. At the start of the session, the client will start talking about their life and things that are going on. An assessment is taking place while the client is speaking, and the treatment plan is getting further detailed. Treatment plan goals in music therapy center around physical, cognitive, or occupational goals. These are a basic trait that all evidence-based therapies contain. Music therapists, they make measurable changes that are recorded and assessed. If there's no changes, no evidence that the therapy is working, then the music therapist, to their code of conduct, is supposed to stop and reassess and see if treatment needs to be reevaluated, or maybe there's something else that they need to send their client to do before they can come back and help them. MT is not a recreational activity that anyone can do. It's not regular music. It's not singing in your car. It's specified education. It's a skill. It's a certifiable training that's retested every 5 years. You have to be accepted into a program to be a music therapist. So what are some things that music therapy can help restore? Music therapy can help teach you how to self-soothe. The drug's been doing the self-soothing for the addict. We need to learn new ways to self-soothe, and that can be done through music therapy. Coping skills are taught in music therapy. Coping skills have been forgotten, or maybe they've never been relearned, and we need to replace them as an addict with something that's good for us, something that can relieve the stress, something that can make us unscared, something that we can manage. Music therapy can become a hobby. It's not just a rehab. It can be fun. Music therapy can replace triggers. We can take them old sounds, them old music songs that you've heard, and change them into something better, make new memories, new triggers, smells of long ago that remind you of someone that you was with when you used can be replaced in music therapy. Music therapy teaches you how to think on your feet, such as is the case with improvisation. When you think of improvisation, think of rapping a song on your feet, playing a selection of an instrument that you never played before. You can look at reasons below the surface of using, and you can learn how to deal with your feelings through music therapy. Music therapy teaches you that there is people that relate to you that still have hit bottom, and they have come up and they have succeeded. Self-esteem can be changed in music therapy. You can learn that there are things you're good at. You don't have to be excellent. You don't have to be a professional. But you can learn you're a good composer. You might be a good speaker. You might know how to organize well. Remember, talent's not a requirement in music therapy. Music therapy can help you increase your relationship building skills. We have group settings, and in group settings, you have to take turns. You have to use what the other person put out to make what you're going to make. In this way, you learn how to use what other people's contributed to make what you contributed a whole. Listening skills are improved through music therapy, and there's so much more that music therapy can help restore. Music therapy needs to be explored. GIM is the acronym that stands for Guided Imagery Music. One of the forms is called the Bonney Method of Guided Imagery. It's the most international method that's used, and it's well known. What happens during a session between the client and the therapist is they first discuss life and the experiences that a client has had. Goals are set, and each session has a focus. The therapist then selects classical music depending upon the themes that she or he heard the client express during their experiences in their life. According to what the client hears, sees, or senses, or thinks while the music is playing, they vocalize these things, and the therapist helps the client expand upon these vocalizations. There's research that's been documented proving the Bonney method that has been started in the 70s. The research has been cataloged by Denise Groch. She provides insight on the research and she explains it in detail. Her journal is called Overview of Research in the Bonney Method of Guided Imagery in Music. When you're in a relaxed stage of deep consciousness, as happens in the Bonney method, their client becomes more knowledgeable about finding solutions. The stress is removed. They're just in a deeper, relaxed stage, and things seem easier to find, easier to access. This is definitely one of the non-traditional methods of treatment that substance abuse or addiction can use to reach sobriety. The technique that's involved in music therapy is known as the drumming circle. The drumming circle is a group of people that get together and they form a circle. And in this circle, each of the drummers that wants to play can have a different type of instrument of the percussion. It does not have to necessarily be a drum, but it's something that makes a sound by what is called a beater. The beater is something that scrapes, bangs, scratches, smacks, or rubs against the instrument and makes the sound. It's not the actual sound that we think that the energy comes from as music therapists, but the vibration. The vibration carries the energy that is healing. Dr. Barry Bittman, the CEO, the founder of the Medfield Medical Centers, he was actually there when they discovered that drummers have an increased amount of cells that have been associated with the immune system's ability to fight off these neuroendocrine disorders, and they disrupted the communication between the cells that happen between the nervous and the endocrine systems. These are disorders of the immune system, such as lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, and psoriasis. So it's quite an awesome finding to know and to prove that music therapy does help your health and your well-being, because these drummers were found to have these increased level of cells, and these cells help fight off this immune system disorders. Shamanic drumming, that's where the drumming Dr. Nora D. Volkow, director of the National Institute on Drug Abuse, outlines the facet that addiction treatment should contain, which includes a program or a plan that aids the addict in reaching an individual level of functioning or productivity in all areas of their lives, such as work, school, at home, and during social interactions. The main focus of treatment should be able to obtain and maintain freedom from drugs. It's important to remember relapse is part of any disease. Think of diseases such as cancer and diabetes. There's relapse rates in both of them diseases as well. That's the same for addiction. Percentages from any source site or program that claims success rates, it doesn't matter if they're 30 or 90%, there's problems in these success rates and these percentages because the treatment programs have different intakes on what their program is defined as being completed. How do they define sobriety? How do they define recovery? We cannot get these percentages that are accurate because many people are measured as sober when they leave the program. They don't have many programs that follow a year later, a month later, a week later. So we cannot have an accurate or a stable view of what sobriety or success or recovery is. Each program has their own definition of recovery. Music therapy, an effective treatment option for substance abuse and addiction. Thank you for watching my presentation that enlightened viewers on the non-traditional treatment of music therapy as a way for addicts or those who wish to refrain from substance use to retain sobriety. This is Fabrienne Cloud for Liberal Arts 495 Capstone Course taught by Dr. Aaron Morris and presented on March 25th, 2018. Thank you.